Hey guys, I'm going to tell you all about a book that I read, and I think it's a pretty good one, and I think there's a lot of information on it, and I will make sure I also put a picture of the book, so it's audio, but just so if anybody wants to find it and read it, you're more than welcome to, but stay tuned to hear what I think about how it's going to help me on my personal journey of weight loss. This is a picture of the book. It's Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Hi, we have a lot to talk about today. So today we're going to talk about just kind of healing. I told you all, I met with my Allie last night or yesterday. No, Tuesday. I don't even remember what day it is today. Today's Thursday. So I told you I met with Allie Tuesday. And she told me about a book, and what I did was I listened to it and took notes whenever, I was working on a report, and so I was able to pause and take notes. So I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about this book because I can't be the only one. I know we all come to our point in life through a different journey and for different reasons. And so I'm going to share with you just a little about this book because I feel like it could help more than just me. The book is called Four Agreements. And it basically talks about how an agreement just means that if somebody tells you you're ugly and you internalize and agree with it, then it's an agreement you make with yourself, with that person, that, oh yeah, they're right, I'm ugly, or I don't know, you're stupid. And so if you internalize that as an agreement, yeah, I'm stupid. And so all those things are agreements that we make with ourselves throughout our life. And so they talk about how we need to change those agreements and he talks about four new agreements that we need to make with ourselves. Hang on, I'm kicking something down here. Four new agreements that we need to make with ourselves. And so he said the first one is be impeccable with my words. He said words have the power to create, and it's the gift that comes directly from God. And he mentioned in John 1 verse 1. Now, he is not he's not necessarily like a Christian author, because he also talks about like a little bit of Buddha and a little bit of, I don't know, Mexican shaman, I don't know. But anyway, so I had to be very open-minded when listening to this, and just, it's just like watching Chef Jean-Pierre if he's making a pasta salad. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, well, he does it that way, but what can I take away from this recipe? So anyway, and I'm going to pause every, a few minutes just to make sure I don't like delete something. But so he said, mentioned in John 1 verse 1, that God says, in the beginning was the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So by the same thing, we create ourselves and our lives through our words, whether it's words or whether it's words. And so, words can create or they can destroy. So we have to use wisely. And it's kind of like, the truth will set you free, or it can enslave me. So by all the mean things I've said to myself in the past, they have enslaved me through those words. And he talked about how words can destroy. I mean, look at Hitler. Hitler's words and fear was planted in people's mind. And so it created devastation. So let's see, I talked about that. He says when someone's words says otherwise, we have the right to believe, or we can disagree. So if somebody says that, Terry, your hair or you're ugly, well, I have the right to disagree with what that person is saying. So he said, since he used impeccable with my words, he said peccable means sin. So impeccable is without sin. So he said sin is anything we do or say against ourselves. And so, in the other way, so he says, we judge and blame ourselves and others, but impeccable means you're not going we're not going against ourselves. So we need to not go against ourselves. He said it takes responsibility and I don't know. He said impeccable takes responsibility for our actions and not judge ourselves. So then it talks about, the sin. So being impeccable, it's rejecting ourselves. And so that's one of a big sin against ourselves, is to reject ourselves, because God made us. He said impeccability leads to life. Use words as we want to receive. So we need to be careful with our words, both spoken and thought, to others and to ourselves. Then the next agreement we need to set is don't take things personally. He said whatever people say and their action has to do with them and not me. If we take it personal, it's because we agree with what is said, and there is poison that goes through me. So, and he said that taking things personal is like a personal importance. So it's a maximum expression of selfishness. We assume that everything is about me. And he said nothing people do is because of me. All people are in their own little world, and they're thinking, and and taking things personal, we assume that person knows what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what I've experienced, and knows what wounds I have. We assume that person knows that. Like even insults and opinions and even insults, opinions, actions reflect their world and their own agreements with themselves. So if they say you look fat, they're trying to poison me based on their own personal issues. So if I don't take it personal, it allows me to, it makes me immune to their poison. And says if I take things personal, I feel offended, and then I try to defend myself, and it's making something small into something big that wasn't meant to be big. Is it me, or do y'all seem to keep going down? I don't know. We'll see. So another thing is my response is an expression of my self issues. So let's see. Don't they think about me? Wait, no. Hang on, I've got to try to understand. Well, I put a 0. They think about me is really about me. It's about, I bet I meant what they think about me is really, no. Don't, hang on, I got to try. Anyway, we'll just skip that spot. Anyway, what they think about me is not about me. It's about them. It says sometimes they've touched some of my own wounds and it's not their fault. So if they say something about hair, and maybe I have an old wound that somebody told me my hair is ugly, then what they're saying, maybe they're not saying that it's ugly. They're just saying it looks a little disheveled today. And if I take it personal, then it's me opening up an old wound of something that somebody said to me a while ago. And it even says if they say I'm wonderful, I shouldn't take that personal either, because that's about them. So maybe, they're having a bad day, and it doesn't just mean that I am wonderful. It's meaning that what I've done is wonderful to them today, but that doesn't mean I am a wonderful person. So we have to, if we don't take things personal, it has to be across the board. And it says, I have a right to agree or not disagree with others and with my own mind. Let's see. So at some point we have to take an inventory of our agreements and then restore them. Okay, number 3, don't make assumptions. And what that one means is a lot of times we fill in blanks with assumptions. So somebody is, I don't care, whatever you want to do, Terry. It's not me that they're mad at. I don't need to fill in the blank with, why are they mad at me? Why did I have done? Da, 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 da. I'm filling in the blanks with assumptions instead of saying, oh, are you okay? Did you have a bad day? Because maybe just before we talk to them, maybe they're going through a lot, and maybe their brain is overwhelmed with things, and maybe literally they don't care and they don't want to make one more decision. So we need to not be filling in the blanks. So the sadness and drama in my life is oftentimes created because of assuming and taking personally things, and I turn and often we turn to gossip. So he talked about I may see that Terri, that Terri girl, she's having a bad, she's been cranky, and then I'll go tell somebody else, and then that person takes on that poison, and then they go to somebody else, and so then everybody takes on that poison of Terri is cranky. But when in reality, maybe Terri just needed somebody to say, "Are you okay?" and not take it personal and not assume that it's about me. We assume that others know what we want. Talked about if someone, oh yeah, she talked about how if we see a cute person in the store and they smile at us, we automatically, and I know I've done this, we automatically like, oh, I could see me married to them and we'd have 5 kids and live in a house. So we're dreaming up something based on assumptions just because somebody smiled. And we also assume that our spouse knows what our needs are, and we get mad about it. But in really what we need to do is we need to ask questions. So that way we can fill in the gaps with what they're thinking, not what we fill in with. We also, one of our defenses that we assume, because of assuming, we assume others will treat us as bad as we do ourselves. So we're afraid to be ourselves around other people, because we talk so mean to ourselves. We need to find our voice and ask for what we want. Others have the right to say yes or no, but I also have the right to ask, and I also have the right to say yes or no. The other thing we need to work on is always do our best. Whenever and our best will be different from day to day. So my attention may be poor that day, but if I know that I've done the best with what poor attention span I have, then when I get home, I'm not like, you could have done this today. You should have done this instead of been on in your email doing personal stuff, So if you can go in and know that you've done your best, then you don't have to go home to that judge and jury, because we all have a judge and jury in our minds. We have a judge and we have a victim. Let's see. Because if we're do less than our best, then we subject ourselves to frustrations and self-judgment along with guilt and regrets. No matter how we feel, do our best and we won't have regrets. We need to live intensely and productive. Let's see. Oftentimes we do our best to please others, but we need to do our best to please ourselves. So that way we don't have that argument in our head. Let's see. Talked about how we need to always do our best. The best way to say, I love you, God, is living life, doing my best. The best way to say thank you, God, is to let go of the past trauma, the past issues, and live in the present. So it doesn't mean don't think about, retirement, or it doesn't mean don't think about saving your money, but it does mean don't take on all of the bad things that have been done to us in the past. So it means that we have to do the work and start processing the things that we've been. He said, I can't be perfect, but I can do my best. And he says, when we honor our body by doing our best, we honor God. When we honor ourselves with our thoughts, and live without victimization and without judgment and without gossip, we are also honoring God. When we make mistakes, we need to not judge ourselves and just say, for today, this is what I'm going to do. So for me today, what I've decided to work on just for today, as best to my ability, is don't take things personal and don't assume. So don't assume when somebody comes in and they have a scowl on their face, it's because I've done something wrong. Just because somebody pops off about something that doesn't sound very nice, I don't need to take it personal. So those are my 2 things I'm working on today. he did talk about the art of transformation. We have to be aware that we are all in our personal fogs, and the hard drama of our life is been because of what I believed, and I can change the things that I believe. I need to develop awareness of my negative beliefs, which is what I'm going to work on. And he said, he mentioned in a war, well, he said, we have to control our emotions and we need to spend time healing. So when somebody just reacts and lashes out, it's because of their inner war. It's their inner war and their inner beliefs. But discipline is to be myself no matter what. I need to have control over my emotions, because when we lose control, we suppress our emotions. And when a victim suppresses and represses due to fear. So those are just notes that I took. So where's my takeaway? So my new dream for my future. So I am creating a new dream. My perception is reality. I want to see the world different view each day. Others, and let's see. So with new eyes, I not need to justify. I want to be me and be happy. I don't want to have self-conflict. I don't want to have fear of expressing myself. I don't want fear to ask or answer. I don't want fear of judgment. I am not responsible for other people's opinions. I do not need to judge others. That's a big one. I don't have to be right about everything, and I don't have to have fear of loving or like fear of loving other people. I don't have to have fear of taking risks. Don't be afraid to live. Don't be afraid to die. Love me for me inside and out. I am perfect as me. So only love can put into a state of bliss. So forgiveness is key. I don't remember where I put that. I just know that where'd it go? Where we go? Forgiveness. Oh, when name or thought of a person no longer causes emotions, that's when we know we've forgiven other people. We need to forgive our siblings for childhood stuff, our parents for childhood stuff, our relatives for childhood stuff. We have to forgive God. For sometimes we think, God, why did you put me in this situation? So we have to forgive God, and we have to forgive ourselves and all those around us. So forgiveness is a huge piece of this. We have to work through forgiveness. So he says, love in action produces happiness, and sometimes suffering feels safe because I know it so well, but there is no reason to suffer. The only reason is because I choose to suffer. There's no reason to suffer, and I can choose to be happy. And choose to suffer in our lives, or we can choose to enjoy our lives. So those are notes from that book. Again, it was called The Four Agreements. It was a very, very short listen. Like I said, I listened to it like 4 or 5 hours, but I know that's also in paper copy. But it was a really good book, and I'm really excited. And I just thought I'd share that with you today.